Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Rick Alberti, the Executive Director of Chamber South, and we're here today for another version of Chamber Spotlight. Today, I have the opportunity to learn from an individual that's going to show me why it's important to build strength, and that's Keith Weisner with Starting Strength Miami. How are you, Keith?
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank
Good,
you.
good.
So tell me, who is Keith Weisner?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and getting this opportunity to showcase what we do. Because we have we do something that I think is very important and serves an underserved part of the population, and a lot of people don't really realize the value of it. So I'm excited about sharing that today.
So am I.
But who is Keith Weisner? So I am by trade, I am a CPA. I've been in public practice for 25 years.
Wow.
I had my practice up in Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up in Baltimore or in the suburbs thereof. I grew up and was raised there. Went to college in the area and really had no intention of leaving the area. But you know, things in life change, and we were going through COVID. My daughter had moved to Florida, and I knew if I wanted to be in her life at all and have a part of it, ever see her, it was probably a good idea that I moved down here. And you know, things were changing with the accounting industry and everything else, so I was looking for other things to do. So I made the move to Florida, originally to Clearwater, and then I eventually moved to Miami in 2022 when I had an opportunity to start the gyms in the South Florida region area. So,
And why starting strength? Why start that gym?
starting strength, I discovered in my 40s. So when I was 18 and got out of high school, I was very I'm not a tall guy already. I'm only 5'8", and I didn't weigh very much at all. I was very, very skinny. Um, and so I wanted to. I always, if you go through life as a small individual, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You don't have a physical presence, and as a man, you want to have a physical presence when you walk into a room. So it was something I was chasing for many years, going to the gym, doing all the stuff that I read in the magazines. We didn't have the internet back then, you know.
Exactly.
So we read the magazines, we did all stuff. We listened to the bros in the gyms, and we tried to do all of those things. And it was a lot of bodybuilding type stuff, and never really saw much progress, but beyond the initial gains, the newbie gains, as they call them, right? Um, and then in my 40s, I discovered starting strength. Um,
How did you discover starting strength?
so we now have the internet, and I am I've started a professional career, as many of us do in our professional careers. Our career kind of runs our life at some point. We get very busy, work a lot of long hours. We don't do anything physical. We sit at a desk all day. We get very out of shape, and I wanted to get back into shape. And I tried several things. I kept injuring myself when I would go to the gym and try to do stuff with weights. And I was like, maybe this job is just not for me. I eventually broke down, just got an exercise bike and just started riding the bike, and dropped a lot of weight because I started watching what I ate, primarily, because basically how much fat our body retains is comes down to diet. Let's be honest, right? So and so I dropped a lot of weight, and I was like, okay, I want to get back into training. I want to get some muscles, though. I want to look better in my clothes. And so I started doing a lot of research, and I eventually found my way to starting strength on YouTube. They have a lot of material out there on YouTube that's free. They tell you how to do the lifts. They teach you a lot of things, and it was very clear that Mark Ripito, who is who founded Starting Strength, really knows what he's doing. He's been in the fitness industry since 1978, and he's written a book called, and I have a copy here, called Starting Strength: The Basic Barbell Training. which has become the most purchased book on strength training
Really?
in the world. And if we're in Starting Strength Enthusiasts, it's just referred to as the Blue Book. But it's like a textbook. I mean, this has everything you can imagine about strength training. So if it teaches you how to do the lifts, it teaches you what lifts to do, how you select the lifts you're going to do. It teaches you how to program, reps and sets, how many days, all of that stuff. Teaches you about all the pitfalls, all the things you might do wrong, all the things you're going to do wrong, even though he's going to tell you not to do it. It tells you about the equipment to buy, what equipment to use, what equipment to have, all of that. So this is like kind of like the Bible on strength training. And it's extremely thorough. So I started doing this program, and like everybody that starts doing it on their own, I took what I wanted and kind of added my own pieces and everything else. And I still got amazing results, even though I didn't really listen to 100% what they said. And then I hired a coach, a starting strength coach, because the other thing that starting strength encompasses is a coaching certification, which is by far the hardest certification to get in the fitness industry. And when I say by far, I mean it's not even close. It's a completely different level.
Why?
Because the starting strength certification, in order to get it, they make you prove you can coach somebody. So if I want to get certified, I have to be able to take you, somebody who's maybe never done the squat or hasn't done it in years, but at the very least has not done it according to the model that we have, which has been designed for a specific reason. And I have to be able to get you to do that lift on the platform, on the spot, the way that it needs to be done. So I have to be able to correct you. So in other words, you have to prove you can actually coach somebody. And then after you've done that part, you have an oral board, which is like 3 hours of grueling questions.
Wow.
From starting strength certified coaches, really diving into your knowledge, giving you a scenario. Somebody comes into the gym, they have this, they have the like a knee replacement or this or that. How do you program? What adjustments do you have to make? All of that type of stuff, so that you prove that you can coach anybody in any population and really understand the material. And it's really about that. It's really about understanding the material, because you may not have every answer, right? Because if you've never seen a situation, you might have to try different things to figure out what is the right course to take. But it's knowing what things to try and what things are available to you.
Well,
so it's
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So it's extremely difficult to get, and the platform exam has something like a 19% pass rate. Just so that you understand, like,
so one out of every 5, more or less, pass.
Yeah, it's a very, very low pass rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 key points that you hit there that I want to touch on. One is having the right trainer, the right coach. You go to these LA Fitnesses, Platinum Fitness, and everything else, and you see all these, not anything wrong with the young kids, nothing like that, but you see all these individuals there trying to tell you, I can help you do these things, and most of them have probably never been certified. Am I correct in saying that?
They may have some certifications, but those certifications are a beginning, not an end. Like the starting strength certification is like you're ready to go and coach somebody. Those certifications, there's a lot of certifications out there that are just like, okay, you've got the certification, now go practically apply it and learn how to do it. So you still have to learn. So it depends really on their experience. You can find a good coach who's not an SSC, which is our designation, but they have to have a lot of experience, and they have to believe in principles. And when I say principles, I mean things that have been proven to work over and over again. In general, people are well-meaning in the fitness industry. People do want to help you, and they really get excited about this stuff because like that 20-year-old kid that you're talking about probably loves working out and doing this stuff, and he loves the results he gets. But he's 20 years old, and he's got a lot of things going his way, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And so he comes from a well-meaning place, but how he applies things to you might not be what's best for you. So we you know, if we go down the coaching route and kind of like, if you're looking at a coach, one of the things you want to ask them is, you know, the how and the why we're doing things, because if they can't really explain why we're doing this exercise and how we're going to do it and why we do it this way, and it's like, you know, they kind of are like, well, this is just the way we do it. You know, that's kind of like, well, this is just the way I learned it, and I never really thought any more further about it. The starting strength appeals to like engineers and architects and attorneys and accountants like myself, people that are used to having like to look at things and figure out what the best way to proceed is.
Methodical way.
Yeah. And so Mark Ripito has really diagnosed this stuff and said, this is the best way to do it for the beginning lifter, for the person who's starting out.
All right. Well, then I'm going to throw you my second point that I got from your conversation. An individual like my own, I'm already 66 years old.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people of my age already have chronic arthritis in certain areas.
Absolutely.
We have them in our knees, we have them in our shoulders. How can I do a squat when I can hardly bend my knees? And I'm talking about a lot of people out there at my age group that can't.
I'm 52 and I have arthritis in my knees. I used to be a runner. I used to do a lot of running. And I'm not saying running's bad for you, but if you don't have great knees, running's bad for you, right?
Exactly. There's no doubt.
So squatting, the way that we perform the squat is primarily a hip movement. Now, what you will see in gyms a lot of time is people making it a knee dominant movement. They will try to keep their bodies very upright when they squat, and they'll put a lot of stress on the knees, and it will bother your knees if you perform it that way. The way we perform the squat, the knee moves very little. It's set early in the squat, and then it's really all hips. It's moving your butt back, getting yourself a little bit leaned over. We go into the hips because we want to use the most muscle mass. So when we do exercise selection, we want to select an exercise that trains the most muscle mass through the longest effective range of motion, so that we can lift as much weight as we can possibly lift, so we can get as strong as we can.
Why do we have to lift as much weight as possible? Why is that important?
And this is a very important question, because there's a lot of things out there that say that they're strength training or parade as strength training. Just because there's weights involved does not mean it's strength training. Strength training has to be incrementally loadable. One of the reasons that we use, well, the primary reason we use barbells is that it allows us to continually add weight in small increments. You cannot do that with dumbbells, because dumbbells are usually a 5-pound jump. So you think about that, you got a dumbbell in each hand, that's 10 pounds if you're going to go up in weight. A barbell, we can load with a 1/4-pound plate on each side. We can go up a 1/2 pound at a time if we need to.
What?
So a barbell is very incrementally loadable. We can really control how much we advance and how the weight from workout to workout.
How do you
but the reason that you have to lift as much weight as you can, and you know, for everybody that number is a different number.
Of course.
But your body is only going to adapt to a stress that's applied. So we use what is this simple biological cycle of stress recovery adaptation. It applies to all living organisms. If you're stressed by something, and it's not so much stress that it kills you, you will then recover from that stress, and your body will adapt to that stress to be able to handle it the next time it comes. And so if we use light weights, there's not enough stress to cause an adaptation. You have to use heavy weight in order to force the body to adapt, to say, oh, we're going to do this now. I better get stronger. I better put more resources into the muscles, the bones, the connective tissue, all of those things, so that they can handle this load. And then we increase the stress a little bit, and we force that adaptation again.
You know, I had never heard that in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes so much sense, because a lot of people tell you as you get older, lighter weight, more reps.
No, that's absolutely wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Yeah. You still need to lift heavy. You need to lift properly. Barbells are very safe. They're probably the safest way to do it. I know a lot of people want to use machines, and I know that machines are very popular in a lot of those gyms that you were talking about before. And the reason for that is they can just put somebody on and say, "Oh, here, do this." It's pretty self-explanatory. Coaching is difficult to get people to move in accordance to the model is not an easy task. So you have to really have well-trained coaches in order to accomplish that. So it's much, much more affordable for gyms to hire young kids that don't have that experience and then buy a bunch of machines and have them just put people in machines. But those things are only going to work for so long. You will get the newbie gains if you've not done any. So first of all, everything is good, right? Any exercise is going to be beneficial.
I agree.
But it's about the long term. We want to progress for a very long time so that we can continue to improve and get better. And barbells allows us to accomplish that.
Well, tell me about the safety aspect of it. Is it safe? What you guys are showing, what you're training, is it safe? And can anyone do it?
That's the biggest pushback we get is on safety. People are afraid, oh, it's heavyweight, because we just talked about it has to be heavy, right? This is heavyweight for me. I'm going to hurt myself. It's heavyweight, but we start at a spot that you can handle. So basically the way we approach this is we're conservative when you would start with us, right? And we're working on your form. And we're getting you kind of locked into the proper movement pattern. We teach you how to set your back, how to brace, how to do all of these things properly so that you keep your spine and yourself safe. And moving in the right thing. So like things like your knees don't bother you. Now everybody's got some limitations, especially the older you get, the more life you've lived, the more chances you had to screw things up.
Yeah,
and so, so everybody's got some limitations, and that's where our coaching comes in. Our coaches are good at being able to work around those things and adjust things as we need to. But so we start fairly conservative with the weights. So as we learn that form, but we start adding weight immediately. And the weight every time you come back is a little bit more, a little bit more. The thing is you're only lifting a little bit more than last time. So when that weight starts to get really heavy, it's just a little bit more than last time. It's just a little more each time. So it's never really like what's dangerous is to say, oh, we're going to throw 20 pounds on the bar or 20 more pounds and try a PR for you and see what happens. That's dangerous because form is going to go away at that point because you're just going to be trying to survive. That's where people can hurt themselves and do things. We don't do stuff like that.
You said something when they come back.
Mm-hmm.
How often should someone come back and see you and do this strength training?
So the program is designed to work 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
3 times a week. And so we allow 90 minutes for each session. Initially, it'll probably only take you 60 minutes. But in a few weeks to month and a half, it'll take probably 90 minutes for you to get through your workouts. That just has to do with the rest times that you need in between sets. The reason that it's 3 times a week is we prefer like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule so that we can stress you on Monday. You recover and adapt on Tuesday. By the time you come back Wednesday, you're ready for another stress. And then again, same cycle on Friday. And any more training than that, if you try to train 5 days a week or whatever, you're probably, so if somebody that trains 5 days a week is probably not lifting heavy enough to force a strength adaptation, or they're under recovered because they're always in the gym training so much and they're not getting as strong as, either way, they're hurting their progress typically.
Where is Starting Strength located?
We are in Dadeland. We are at Dadeland Station. So okay. We're actually in the ground floor of the residential tower, The Motion, which is directly across the street from the Target there, and right by the Dadeland Metro.
What is it going to take for someone to get started, and why should they get started, or when should they get started?
So there's a few things. So first of all, the most important thing is that I do want people to take away from this is that this is safe for everybody, and everybody should be strength training. Almost everybody can. There are very few individuals who really cannot do strength training. If you Google MERS starting strength, MERCE. There is a woman, Merce Hershey, who's 98 years old,
What?
who is training with Starting Strength Cincinnati. And there's some stories out there about her that you can watch. She's 98 years old. Have they adapted her program because she can't do all of the lifts the exact same way? Of course. She's 98 years old, but she is getting stronger. So anybody can get stronger, and strength is very important because strength, as a lot of studies are starting to come out and show now, like I just read one a couple weeks ago about grip strength. They say grip strength is a good indicator of how long you're going to live.
That was my next question.
So strength is extremely important for everybody for many reasons. One of the reasons I got into starting the gyms rather than just being an enthusiast that did the program was when I was young and living at home with my parents. My grandmother had a fall, and it's a typical story, right? She had a fall, broke her hip. She had to go in for surgery. When she came out of surgery, she was in a wheelchair. For the next 20 years, she lived in a wheelchair.
Wow.
And she was not a happy person. And,
Wow.
she felt like a burden to everybody, and she didn't have her independence anymore, which were very hard for her. And so I think nobody should have to live that way,
That's such a good point. That is such a good point, Keith, because you know what? That the majority of the people that are old that don't have the strength, when they get a fall, it's like their death sentence.
So how can strength training change this, right? So there's a couple of things. One, the loss of balance that typically causes people to have falls is because of the loss of muscle mass. That's a normal part of the human cycle, right? As we get older, we start to lose muscle mass. We can combat that, though, with a simple strength training program. And so that person doesn't lose the muscle mass. They maintain their strength. They don't lose their balance. The strength is what is one of the main things that determines how much balance you have. Strength is the foundation of all the other fitness attributes. Strength adds to everything, whether it's your endurance or whatever else. Strength is going to make you better at that. So that's why we think strength is so important for everybody, and everybody should be doing it. But so then the second part is, so even if she does have the fall, the strength training would have made her bones thicker and denser, so that when
Not just muscle, then.
Right, no, it's your connective tissue, your bones, everything adjusts, everything adapts, because
Can it help arthritis?
It certainly can. It's not going to cure your arthritis. You're still going to have arthritis, but what often happens is that the connective tissue and the muscles get stronger and support the joints better, and you have less pain because it's a more solid joint. One of the problems is if the looseness can cause the grinding and the irritation.
Yeah, one of the things, you hit on a point, because one of the things that I see as people get older, they can't even open a bottle
Yeah.
of their own medicine.
Yeah.
Or they can't open a jar, and they're getting weaker and weaker.
Yep.
And you know what? Some of the pain, like myself, I got a lot of pain in this shoulder, and I'm really determining yay or nay on the operation. That should be last result.
Last resort.
I've
Yeah.
gotten injections. I'm going to try to do plasma, but I think that building more strength could help that shoulder,
I had
because I lost a lot of my strength in this hand.
Yeah. I had a shoulder issue in my right shoulder, and I went to the doctors for it, had imaging done. And I went the whole things, and it was kind of like the same thing. Well, we think it's just something you probably live with right now. We don't want to do surgery, but I couldn't bench. Like if I tried to bench, I had pain. And then when I started doing the starting strength program, and I incorporated the overhead press the way we do it, amazingly, my shoulder pain has disappeared. And I don't have any
overhead press.
Overhead press. So
See,
that's
I
press of the
couldn't
bar
even
up.
do the overhead press because of that.
Yeah.
It
But
really hurts.
the way that we do it, it might surprise you, because we correct your form. And so if performed correctly, the overhead press is very safe, will strengthen the entire shoulder, and a lot of times takes care of issues. The problem is that a lot of people will have their grip too wide, and they'll actually be grinding and hurting things in their shoulder as they're doing it. So, again, it comes down to coaching. A good coach is going to help you with that stuff.
Is starting strength affordable for everyone?
It is It is not a bottom level type thing because obviously the quality of the coaching is very high. So our coaches go through a lot to get certified. We have to pay them accordingly.
Of course.
And so it works out though, because, but the way that we do them is we do class times. So um, you'll train in a group with maybe 6 other people. We only do up to 8 people in a class. We cut it off there because it becomes too unwieldy after that. But because of the nature of strength training, the coach can go around and coach you on your lifts, and then while you're resting before your next set, he goes on to the other lifters and goes around the room. So every set you do is coached by the coach, and your programming is individualized to you with the things that you're doing. And that's just the nature of strength training. But by putting a bunch of people together, we now can pay the coach to coach a group of people rather than just one person one-on-one, which makes it really affordable. Down to $31 a session is essentially what it works out to.
Wow.
But we do it in monthly. We do it in monthly membership.
Installments.
So yeah.
Okay,
So you pay one month, and we don't do any long-term commitments. We have to get results in order for you to keep coming back. That's we kind of guarantee our results and measurable results, because the number on the bar does not lie. The number goes up, you will get stronger, you will feel better, but you've got a real world measurement of just how strong you've gotten.
That's such a key point, because everybody wants to see the results, and in reality, when you go to a gym on your own, you coach yourself, or you read a book, or you do a YouTube, and you're trying to do it on your own, and you don't do it right, and then you have the pain. You see some newbie results, like you call it.
Right.
But you don't see those results.
No, you won't see the long term, right?
You don't see the long term.
Yeah.
So 2 more questions for you. Number 1, I want to know more about the other books that you brought, because I want to know about that. But before that, you joined Chamber South not too long ago. And I think you joined, hopefully, to get your message out to the people.
Absolutely. Chamber South has been wonderful for us so far. I have been involved in, obviously as an accountant, I've been involved in business groups before, and some of them are a little too much, and some of them are not very helpful. I've never been a member of a chamber that has been so helpful as Chamber South has been. Honestly, like, you've asked for promotional materials, so you guys can do some promotions for them, and we've been the ones that are the cog in the wheel trying to get the stuff over to you. So I mean, the resources are there. We've just got to take advantage of them. But I mean, you're doing what the chamber is designed to do, which is really promote the businesses in the area.
Great, Keith. Well, I'm here to help, and I want to help. I want to get your message out, because I do, now more than ever, think that it's extremely important. Tell me about, we talked about the blue book.
Yep.
Tell me about the other books.
So the blue book, we also do have this book in a Spanish edition, which might be helpful in Miami. And then there was a follow-up book called Practical Programming for Strength Training. While the blue book goes through programming for the beginner, this is programming for all levels of trainees. It's very involved, it's very detailed, and it's very dry. It is a textbook, basically. So this is not an easy read, but this is for the person that's really serious about coaching, or really serious about doing this stuff on their own and really advancing, because that really gets into the programming. And then the Barbell Prescription is another book that we recommend, that's written by Dr. Jonathan Sullivan and Andy Baker. And the Barbell Prescription it's called Strength Training for Life After 40. So this one is geared towards people that are over 40 years of age. And Dr. Sullivan makes a really good case medically for all of the things that are plaguing health today, like diabetes and everything else, and how strength training is the prescription to solve a lot of these problems if we can just get people to do it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, the benefits, I've only heard benefits of strength training. I haven't heard any negatives. Are there any negatives?
It's hard. It's not easy, and it's hard in a different way than people are accustomed to, right? So people are used to working out for 60 minutes and going in and getting sweaty. You'll probably get sweaty, not as sweaty as like a hit workout with us, but you have to learn to push on something harder than you want to, and harder than you've ever had to. And it's a developed skill, but it's very rewarding when you start to figure this out, and it carries over to life in general about learning how to do something very difficult. So,
Well, that's amazing, Keith. In closing, is there any other message or one hitting message that you want to send our audience?
well, I want to let everybody know we're doing free 30-minute sessions. So if you go into our website, you can just Starting Strength Miami. You can book a free 30-minute session. That's time for you to use. It's going to be with a starting strength coach. So even if you're not interested in joining, but you really want to learn more about this stuff, come to it. Come with your questions. If you want to learn a particular lift, ask the coach to do that lift because they will. It's 30 minutes is really only time to cover one lift, but
Really?
it's the time that it's your time, so use it, as you want to. The way we work is we'll do the free session, then we have an intro session that you have to go through before you can join a class, and the intro session is and it's about an hour and a half with a coach one-on-one, and they teach you 3 of the major lifts. This is where we're going to really kind of delve into what issues you have, what pains you have, what injuries you have, what replacement parts you have, all of those things. So, and your training history. So we kind of know where you are and what things to watch out for. And we learn about you. We teach you the basic lifts. So we get you to a spot so that when we have you in the class, it's not like trying to start from scratch. And that is $185 for that.
That's
for
awesome.
that hour and a half session.
Tell me about what time you open, what time do you close?
So our first session in the morning is at 5:30.
5:30 in the morning.
So for the early people that like to get it done early and then get on to work and still like to get to work early, we have 5:30 session. We have a 7 and a 9 after that. Then we have a noon session for those people who are available in the middle of the day, and then we don't do anything again until the evening, 4:30. So we have 4:30, 6, and 7:30 in the evening session.
Can they go in the morning one day and in the afternoon or in the evening the next day?
Well, right now we are allowing that because our sessions are not full. There's plenty of space available. So
Great.
as we're getting our word out, so they can maneuver that as they need to. But eventually these sessions will fill up, and you'll have to kind of stick to your time slot. So,
Well, I want to thank you for your time today, Keith. I think that your message is extremely, extremely important to the group. And I know that I'm going to go and check it out. That's for sure.
I want to thank you for having me again. And as appreciation, I want to give you one of our Stronger People Are Harder to Kill shirts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
There you go.
Well, on 3, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. We're going to look at that camera there. So 1, 2, 3. Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.